Ginha pressed his long fingers against the cold metal screen. The numbers made no sense. He read them again, then a third time. His heart started beating faster. This cannot be right, he whispered to himself. The research ship Harmony's Edge moved slowly through the dark space near the Sol system. Jinha had been studying dead worlds for 30 years. He knew what they looked like. Earth was supposed to be one of them. The stories about Earth were famous across the galaxy. Long ago, a species called humans lived there. They were violent and angry. They fought each other with terrible weapons. Then they destroyed themselves with nuclear bombs. Everyone knew this story. Teachers told it to young ones as a warning. Stay peaceful, they would say, or you will end up like the humans. But Jinha's machines were telling him something different. They showed cities full of light, showed ships moving between planets. They showed energy that was stronger than anything the Galactic Council had ever built. Jinha looked around the quiet research room. His 6 eyes moved from screen to screen. Each one showed the same impossible thing. Earth was not dead. Earth was very much alive. Computer, run the scan again, he said in his clicking voice. The machine made soft sounds as it worked. Waited. He cleaned his long claws nervously. Maybe the machine was broken. Maybe space dust was blocking the signals. There had to be a simple answer. The results came back the same. Jinha stood up fast. His tall, thin body moved like a stick. Insect. He had to tell Commander Talkar right away. This was too big to keep secret. He walked through the ship's long hallways. Other aliens worked at their jobs. Some had 4 arms, some had thick shells, some looked like large birds. They all lived together in peace. The Galactic Council had over 300 different species. They had not fought a real war in 2,000 years. War was something from the old times, something that young species did before they learned better. Jinha found Commander Talkar in the main control room. The commander was of Rex, with gray skin and big eyes. He was looking at star maps on a large screen. Commander Jinha said. His voice shook a little. "Oh, I need to show you something important." Talkar turned around. His face showed he was not happy to be interrupted. "What is it, Jinha?" "I am busy planning our next survey." Jinha held up his datapad. "It is about Earth, sir. The human world." "Earth," Talkar laughed. "That dead rock? What about it?" "Sir, I do not think it is dead." The commander stopped laughing. He walked over to Jinha and took the datapad. His big eyes looked at the numbers. They got bigger as he read. "This is wrong," Talkar said. "Your machines are broken." "I ran the scan 3 times, sir. I checked all the machines. They're working fine." Talkar was quiet for a long moment. He looked at the numbers again. "These energy readings, they are higher than our homeworlds." "Yes, sir." "And these structures? They look like ... cities, sir. Very big cities." Talkar sat down hard in his chair. "But humans have been gone for 800 years. We have records. We know what happened." Jinha nodded. "That is what I thought too, sir. But the machines do not lie." Other crew members started to notice. Their conversation. Orin, the ship's tactical analyst, walked over. She was a Keth with blue skin and 4 arms. She was very good at understanding military things. "What is going on?" she asked. Talkar handed her the datapad. "Gina thinks he found living humans." Horin looked at the data. Her 4 hands moved quickly over the pad, checking different screens. Her face changed as she read. "Commander," she said slowly, "these are not just cities." "What do you mean?" Talkar asked. Horin's voice got very quiet. "I ran this data through our military analysis programs. These energy patterns, they match weapons. Very big weapons." The control room got very quiet. Everyone stopped working and listened. "What kind of weapons?" Jinha asked. Horin looked scared. "I do not know. The energy's too strong. Our computers cannot understand it." "But sir, ... She looked at the commander. "Whatever is down there, it is designed to fight." Talkar stood up fast. "That is impossible. Humans destroyed themselves." They were too violent to survive. Maybe, Harin said. Or maybe they got better. At being violent, Jinha felt cold inside. He looked at Earth on the big screen. It looked like a pretty blue and green ball. It looked peaceful, but the numbers said something else. What should we do? He asked. Commander Talkar was quiet for a long time. He looked at Earth, then at the data, then at his crew. We need to know for sure, he finally said. Want you to do one more scan? A deep scan? Use all our power? Sir, a deep scan will tell them we are here, Harin said. If there really is someone down there, they will know we are watching. Good, Talkar said. The Galactic Council needs to know. We will say hello and welcome. Then Jinha went back to his machines. He set them for the deepest scan possible. This would use most of the ship's power. It would also send signals that anyone with good machines could detect. Starting deep scan now, he announced. The ship's lights got dim as all the power went to the scanners. Jinha watched his screens fill with data. More and more information came in. Cities, ships, power plants, and something else. Something that made his blood turn cold. Commander, he called out. You need to see this. Everyone rushed to his station. The main screen showed Earth in perfect detail. But it was not the Earth from the old pictures. This Earth had rings around it, metal rings, covered in lights and structures. What are those? Talkar whispered. Harin checked her military databases. Her face turned white. Those are defense platforms, sir. Weapons platforms, hundreds of them. As they watched, some of the platforms started to move. They turned toward the research ship like eyes opening. Sir, Harin said, her voice shaking. I am reading energy building up in those platforms. A lot of energy. Deep in space, far from the alien ship, other machines were also watching. Human machines that had been silent for 800 years suddenly came alive. Red lights flashed in dark rooms. Alarms that had never sounded before started ringing. On the moon. In a base built deep under the surface, screens lit up for the first time in centuries. Men and women in military uniforms ran to their stations. Contact, someone said. We have first contact. Admiral Quan looked at the alien ship on his screen. He had been waiting for this day his whole life. His father had waited. His grandfather had waited. All of them preparing for the moment when the galaxy would remember that humans existed. Signal the fleet, he said calmly. It is time.
Back on the research ship.
Jinha watched his screens. With growing fear, the energy readings from Earth were getting stronger. Much stronger, Commander, he said quietly. I think we made a mistake. The last thing their sensors detected before everything changed was a simple message. Broadcast on all frequencies in perfect galactic standard. Unknown vessel, you are being scanned. Please identify yourself. The voice was calm, polite, absolutely terrifying in its confidence. Humans were not extinct, and they had been waiting. Admiral Quan stood in his war room 3 kilometers under the Himalayan mountains. The room was dark, except for the blue glow of computer screens. He had been waiting his whole life for this moment. Sir, the alien ship is asking us to identify ourselves, said his communication officer. Quan smiled. It was not a kind smile. They want to know who we are? Let us show them. On the surface of Earth, massive doors opened for the first time in 800 years. From these doors, ships began to rise. But these were not the ships that other species would recognize. These ships looked alive. The hulls were black and seemed to breathe. Strange lights moved under their skin like blood flowing through veins. Some ships had parts that looked like claws. Others had sections that opened and closed like mouths full of teeth. Aboard the research ship Harmony's Edge, Jinha watched. His screens with growing terror. One moment, space around them was empty. The next moment, 20 massive ships surrounded them. Where did they come from? Commander Talkar whispered. Harin checked her sensors again and again. Sir, they were invisible. Our best sensors could not see them. They just appeared. The human ships moved in perfect formation. They did not make any threatening moves, but somehow they felt dangerous. Like predators circling their prey, a new voice came over the communication system. This time it was different. Still calm, but with something else underneath. Something that made Jinha's skin crawl. Research Vessel Harmony's Edge. This is Captain Harin of the Terran defense ship Unbowed. Prepare to be boarded. Boarded, Talkar said. We are a peaceful research ship. All weapons are to be powered down immediately. Any resistance will be met with force. You have 60 seconds to comply. Harin the analyst looked at her tactical screens. Commander, I am not reading any weapons on their ships. What do you mean? Talkar asked. I mean their entire ships. Our weapons, sir? The hulls, the engines, everything. I have never seen technology like this. Talkar made a hard choice. Power down all systems. Do as they say. 60 seconds later, the human ships moved closer. From the largest ship, something that looked like a metal tube shot out and attached to their hull. Ginha heard the sound of cutting tools. They are coming through the airlock, someone announced. Everyone in the control room stood very still. They waited. The sound of footsteps echoed through the ship's hallways. Heavy boots on metal floors. Getting closer, the control room door opened. The first human through the door was a woman. She was not very tall, but she moved like a hunting cat. Her muscles showed clearly under her dark uniform. Her eyes were the color of winter storms. Behind her came 4 other humans, 2 men, and a woman. They all moved the same way, silent, dangerous, ready. Ginha had seen pictures of old humans in the historical records. These humans looked different. Their bones seemed thicker. Their eyes were sharper. Their hands had small scars from fighting. The woman who must be Captain Harin looked around the room. She studied each alien carefully. When her eyes met Jinha's, he felt like a small animal being watched by a wolf. I am Captain Harin, she said. Her voice was quiet, but everyone heard. Every word. You have been scanning our world. Commander Talkar stepped forward. He tried to look brave. I am Commander Talkar of the Galactic Council Research Division. You meant no harm. We thought your species was extinct. Captain Harin smiled. It was not a friendly smile, extinct. Is that what you tell yourselves? She walked to Jinha's workstation and looked at his screens. She seemed to understand everything she saw, even though it was alien technology. 800 years ago, your Galactic Council decided we were too dangerous, she said. You cut off all contact with Earth. You let us fight our nuclear war alone. You watched us burn and decided we would destroy ourselves. That was a long time ago, Talkar said. The Council has changed. We are peaceful now, Captain Harin laughed. The sound made everyone in the room feel cold. Peaceful, she repeated. Yes, you have been very peaceful. While you were being peaceful, we were learning. She touched one of Jinha's screens. How? She made it show a map of the galaxy. Red dots appeared on hundreds of worlds. We have been listening to your radio signals for 800 years, she said. We know where all your worlds are. We know how many ships you have. We know how you fight. We know how you think. Jinha's voice was very small when he spoke. How? Captain Harin looked at him. How? What little scientist? How did you survive? The records show your world was destroyed. Our world was not destroyed, she said. Our world was reborn. Fire does not always destroy. Sometimes it makes things stronger. One of her soldiers brought her a data pad. She looked at it and nodded. Jinha of the Keth Research Division, she said. Was born on Keth Prime 43 years ago. Studied at the Central University. Specialized in dead world ecology. Father was a teacher. Mother was a doctor. You have a sister named Velka, who works? As an engineer, Jinha's 6 eyes went wide with fear. How do you know that? We know everything about you, Jinha. About all of you. Your psychological profiles, your fears, your weaknesses, your military capabilities. She walked to Commander Talkar. Commander Talka of the Vrex, you have been in command of research vessels for 12 years. You have never seen combat. Neither has anyone in your crew. Your people have not fought a real war in 1,500 years. The captain moved to Harin, the analyst, and you, tactical specialist. You study old battles from books. You have never seen what real war looks like. She paused and looked around the room again. None of you have. Your entire civilization has forgotten what war really means. But we never forgot. We got better at it. What do you want? Talkar asked. Captain. Haren walked to the main view screen. With a gesture, she made it show Earth. But this was not the Earth from their scans. This Earth was covered in lights. Massive structures moved in orbit. Ships bigger than cities flew between the planets. Want? She said. We do not want anything from you. You came to us, remember? The screen changed to show their own ship surrounded by the human fleet. For 800 years we have been alone, Captain Haren continued. We used that time. Well, we built. We learned. We grew strong. We prepared for the day when the galaxy would remember we exist. We can take you back to the council, Talkar offered. You can join us again. We can be friends. Captain Horan turned to look at him. Her expression was very serious. Friends? She said, Commander, you do not make friends with apex predators. You either avoid them or you become their prey. She walked back to Jinha. You wanted to study a dead world, scientist, but you found something else. You found the world that death could not kill. One of her soldiers whispered something in her ear. She nodded. My admiral wants to meet you, she said. All of you. You are going to Earth. What if we refuse? Talkar asked. Captain Haren looked at him with those cold eyes. Commander, you are surrounded by 20 warships that could turn your vessel into space dust without trying hard. You are not in a position to refuse anything. She turned to leave, then stopped. But do not worry. We are not going to hurt you. We are going to educate you. Someone needs to go back to your council and tell them the truth. What truth? Ginha asked. Captain Haren smiled that dangerous smile again. That humanity was never extinct. We were just waiting for the right moment to remind the galaxy that we are still here. That moment has finally come, as the humans left the control. Room Jinha looked at his screens one more time. The energy readings from Earth were still growing. Whatever was down there was much bigger than just the ships around them. He realized with growing horror that this was not first contact. This was a hunting party showing themselves to their prey. The journey to Earth took 6 hours. Jinha spent every minute looking out the window of the human transport ship. What he saw made his blood turn cold. Space around Earth was not empty. It was full of human ships, thousands of them. They moved in perfect patterns like schools of metal fish. Some were as big as cities. Others were small and fast, like deadly insects. Amazing, is it not? Said a voice behind him. Jinha turned around. Admiral Quan had entered the viewing room. The admiral was tall and strong, but there was something different about him. His left arm was made of metal and glass. His right eye glowed with a soft blue light. Parts of his skin had lines that looked like circuits. You are not completely human, Jinha said without thinking. Admiral Quan smiled, very observant. No, I am not completely human anymore. None of us are. Walked to the window and looked out at his fleet. When your council abandoned us, we learned an important lesson, he said. Biology has limits. So we decided to go beyond those limits. The transport ship moved closer to Earth. Ginha could see the planet clearly now. It was beautiful, but wrong. Continents were covered in lights that formed perfect patterns. The oceans had floating structures that looked like metal islands. And around everything, the orbital rings moved like giant weapons. What did you do to your world? Jinha whispered. We made it perfect, Admiral Quan said. Every mountain range hides missile systems. Every city is also a fortress. Every citizen is also a soldier. We took 800 years to build the perfect war machine. The ship landed on a platform that seemed to grow out of the ground to catch them. As they walked down the ramp, Jinha saw human soldiers everywhere. But these soldiers were different from Captain Haren's crew. Some were bigger and stronger than normal humans. Their muscles were huge, and their bones looked thick as tree trunks. Others were smaller and faster, moving so quickly that Ginha could barely see them. A few had extra arms or eyes that could see in different directions. What happened to them? Commander Talkar asked quietly. Evolution, Admiral Kwan said. But we decided not to wait millions of years. We helped it along. They entered a large building that went deep underground. The walls were covered with screens showing battles from history. Human battles. Jinha saw images of ancient wars, nuclear explosions, and other things that made him feel sick. Your species sees war as a terrible thing, Admiral Kwan said as they walked. We learned that war is the greatest teacher in the universe. It shows you what you really are. They entered a training room the size of a football field. Human warriors. We're practicing combat. This was not normal combat. They fought in environments that would kill most aliens instantly. Some humans were fighting underwater while breathing liquid oxygen. Others were fighting in a room filled with poison gas. A group of soldiers was practicing combat in zero gravity. While their bodies were on fire, how are they alive? Harin, the analyst, whispered. We changed ourselves, Admiral Kwan explained. Some humans can breathe in space. Others can survive in acid. These warriors can fight in any environment you can imagine. He led them to another room where children were training. But these were not normal children. They moved like adult soldiers. Their eyes were cold and focused. They held weapons that were bigger than they were. We start training at age 5. Admiral Kwan said. By age 10, our children can outfight most adult aliens. By age 15, they are perfect killing machines. Jinha watched a child who could not be older than 12 defeat a combat robot in hand-to-hand fighting. The child showed no emotion, no excitement, no fear, just cold efficiency. This is wrong, Talkar said. Children should play and learn, not fight. Admiral Kwan looked at him with those glowing eyes. Commander, your people have been at peace for so long that you have forgotten what survival means. Our children learn to fight because the alternative is death. They move to a weapons development center. Human scientists were working on devices that Jinha could not understand. One weapon seemed to bend space around itself. Another fired bullets that could think and change direction. Your treaties ban most of these weapons, Harin the analyst said. What treaties? Admiral Kwan asked. We never signed your treaties. We were not invited to your peace talks. You decided we were extinct, remember? A scientist approached them carrying a small device. Admiral, the new quantum disruptor is ready for testing. Excellent. Show our guests. The scientist pointed the device at a thick metal wall and pressed a button. The wall simply disappeared. Not exploded, not melted. Just gone, as if it had never existed. Matter conversion, Admiral Kwan explained. We turn enemy ships into energy. Very clean, very efficient. Jinha's legs felt weak. Many of these weapons do you have? Enough was all, Admiral Kwan said. They entered a command center where hundreds of humans worked at computer stations. The screen showed star maps of the entire galaxy. Every planet, every ship, every military base was marked with different colored dots. For 800 years, we have been watching you, Admiral Kwan said. We know everything about every species in the Council. Your strengths, your weaknesses, your fears. One of the operators called out, Admiral, the Vrex home fleet just moved to high alert status. Expected, Admiral Kwan replied. What about the Keth military? Still trying to understand our ship design, sir. They have no idea how our technology works. Admiral Kwan turned to Jin. Your species is very good at science, but very bad at war. You study problems instead of solving them? By the time you figure out how our weapons work, we will have built 10 new types. Harin the analyst was staring at a screen that showed troop movements. Those numbers. You have more soldiers than our entire population. We've been busy. Admiral Kwan said simply. They walked to a viewing platform that looked out over a vast underground city. Millions of humans lived and worked in the tunnels below ground. Factories produced weapons and ships 24 hours a day. Training centers created new soldiers every minute. This is just one city, Admiral Kwan explained. We have thousands. Like it on Earth, on Mars, on the moons of Jupiter. Every human world is a military base. Why? Jinha asked. Why do all this? Admiral Kwan was quiet for a long moment. Then he looked directly at Jinha. Because 800 years ago, we learned that the universe is not a safe place. We learned that other species will abandon you when you need help most. Learned that the only way to survive is to become so dangerous that no one dares to threaten you. He gestured to the city below them. You see weapons and soldiers? You see insurance. Insurance that what happened before will never happen again. A young officer approached them. Admiral, we have received a message from the Galactic Council. They are sending a fleet to investigate our reappearance. Admiral Quan smiled. Was not a nice smile. How large a fleet? He asked. 10,000 ships, sir. The largest armada in galactic history. 10,000, Admiral Quan repeated thoughtfully. They really want to make sure we know they are serious. Turned to Jinha. And the other aliens? It looks like you will get to see a demonstration of human warfare sooner than expected. I hope you are ready to learn what 800 years of preparation can accomplish. Jinha felt his heart beating faster. What are you going to do, Admiral? Quan looked out at his underground army and smiled that terrible smile. We are going to show the galaxy what happens when you try to intimidate a species that was built for war. In the distance, alarms began to sound. The greatest military force in human history was about to wake up. 3 days later, the largest military fleet in galactic history arrived at the edge of the Sol system. 10,000 warships from every species in the Galactic Council. The fleet stretched across space like a metal cloud that blocked out the stars. Jin-Ha stood in the command center of Admiral Quan's flagship, the Prometheus Unbound. Through the massive windows, he could see the alien fleet in the distance. It was bigger than anything he had ever imagined. They brought everyone, Commander Talkar whispered. His voice shook with fear. Not everyone, Admiral Quan said calmly. He stood at the center of the command room, his metal arm reflecting the light from the computer screens. This is only their first wave. Harin, the analyst, looked at her readings. Admiral, there are 10,000 ships out there. Even for humans, that is too many. Admiral Quan smiled. He pressed a button on his command chair. Immediately, every screen in the room lit up with tactical information. Jinha saw ship positions, weapon strengths, and battle plans that were so complex he could not understand them. Communications, Admiral Quan said. Send a message to the fleet commander. The young human officer nodded. Channel open, sir. Admiral Quan's voice was broadcast across all frequencies. It was calm and polite, but somehow terrifying. Unknown fleet, you are trespassing in human space. This is your only warning. Leave now, or face the consequences. The response came quickly. Jinha recognized the voice of Fleet Admiral Zoltar. The greatest military leader in Council space. Human vessel. I am Fleet Admiral. Zoltar, commanding the combined galactic fleet. You will surrender immediately and submit to Council authority. We have 10,000 ships. Resistance is pointless. Admiral Quan laughed. The sound echoed through the command center. 10,000 ships, he repeated. Impressive. Tell me, Admiral Zoltar, how many wars have you fought? There was silence. From the alien fleet, none, Admiral Quan continued. How about your officers, your crews? Any combat experience at all? More silence. I thought not. You bring 10,000 ships flown by people who have never seen real battle. You bring experience that spans 800 years of constant preparation. Jinha watched the tactical screens. The human fleet was much smaller. He counted only 300 ships. But something was wrong with the numbers. The energy readings from the human ships were impossible. Admiral, he said quietly, your ships. They are reading as stronger than entire planets. That is because they are, Admiral. Quan replied. Each of our ships has more firepower than your entire home fleet. We do not build many ships. We build perfect ships. Fleet Admiral Zoltar's voice came over the radio again. You have 1 minute to surrender, or we will open fire. No, Admiral Quan said simply. You will not. What makes you so confident, Admiral? Quan pressed another button. The main screen showed a view of space around the alien fleet. At first, Jinha saw nothing unusual. Then the stars began to move. As Admiral Quan said, you are already surrounded. The moving stars were not. Stars at all. They were human ships, thousands of them, decloaking all around the alien fleet. Ships that had been invisible, waiting in perfect silence. But these were not normal ships. Some were the size of moons. Others looked like metal monsters with claws and teeth. A few seemed to be made of pure energy, shifting and changing shape as they moved. Possible, Fleet Admiral Zoltar whispered over the radio. Your sensors cannot detect our stealth technology, Admiral Kwan explained. For the past 3 days, you have been flying through the middle of our fleet without knowing it. Every move you made, we tracked. Every communication you sent, we heard. Every tactical plan you discussed, we countered before you finished speaking. Jinha looked at the screen showing both fleets. The alien ships looked like toys compared to the human war machines surrounding them. This is not possible, Haren, the analyst said. Our intelligence said humans had maybe a few hundred ships at most. Your intelligence was designed to see what we wanted you to see, Admiral Kwan replied. For 800 years, we have been feeding false information to your spy networks. Every report about human strength was exactly what we wanted you to believe. A new voice joined the radio conversation. It was Captain Haran from the Unbowed. Admiral Zoltar, this is Captain Haran. You have 30 seconds to begin withdrawal, or we will demonstrate why your species have remained at peace for so long. Are you threatening us? Fleet Admiral Zoltar demanded. No, Captain Horan replied. We are educating you. Admiral Kwan looked at Jinha. Watch carefully, scientist. You are about to see the difference between a species that studies war and a species that lives war. Fleet Admiral Zoltar made his choice. All ships, open fire. The alien fleet attacked with everything they had. Energy beams and missiles filled space with deadly light. For a moment, it looked like the stars themselves were exploding. But when the light faded, the human ships were untouched. Impossible, Talkar breathed. Shielding technology your people cannot imagine, Admiral Kwan explained. Energy weapons that would destroy planets bounce off our hulls like rain. Now it was humanity's turn. The human response was not like the alien attack. There were no massive explosions or bright lights. Instead, alien ships simply began to stop, working. One by one, they went dark and silent. What are you doing to them? Jinha asked. We are being merciful, Admiral Kwan said. We could destroy them all in 30 seconds. Instead, we are just turning off their engines and weapons. Their crews are alive, but helpless. Within 1 hour, all 10,000 alien ships were floating dead in space. Not one human ship had been damaged. Not one human life had been lost. How? Fleet Admiral Zoltar's voice was broken and defeated. Admiral Kwan activated the communication system again. Because you brought museum pieces to fight starships, Admiral? Your newest ship is older than our training vessels. Your best weapons. Are toys compared to what we consider basic equipment? He paused, letting that sink in. But more importantly, you brought soldiers who have never fought to battle warriors who have never stopped fighting. The outcome was decided before you arrived. Captain Heron's voice came over the radio. Admiral Zoltar, this was not our main fleet. These were training ships flown by our academy cadets. Our real military is currently occupying your homeworlds. Jinha's blood turned to ice. What does she mean? Admiral Kwan smiled that terrible smile again. While you were gathering this impressive fleet, we were visiting your planets.
What to do?
Conquer them, but to show them how easily we could if we wanted to. The main screen changed to show images from across the galaxy. Human ships were in orbit around every major council world. They had appeared without warning, broadcast a simple message of greeting, and then disappeared again. In the time it took, you two travel here and lose this battle. We demonstrated that we can reach any world in council space whenever we choose, Admiral Kwan continued. Your defenses, your early warning systems, your military bases, all useless against technology you cannot detect or understand. Fleet Admiral Zoltar was silent for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was very small. From us? Want? Admiral Kwan laughed. Admiral, we do not want anything from you. You came here, remember? You brought 10,000 ships to threaten us. We simply showed you why that was a mistake. He walked to the window and looked out at the disabled alien fleet. You wanted to know if humanity was back. Now you know. You never left. It just became something your worst nightmares could not imagine. Ginha watched as human recovery ships began moving toward the alien fleet. Not to destroy them, but to repair their engines and let them go home. Why are you helping them? He asked. Admiral Kwan looked at him with those glowing eyes. Because scientist, the greatest victory is not destroying your enemy. It is making them understand they never had a chance to begin with. As the alien fleet limped away from Sol System, Ginha realized the horrible truth. This had not been a battle. It had been a lesson, and the galaxy would never forget what they had learned. 6 months had passed since the demonstration at Sol System. The galaxy was a different place now. Ginha looked out at the Great Hall of the Reformed Galactic Assembly, tried to understand how everything had changed so quickly. The building was new. The old council chambers had been too small for what was happening now. This hall was built on Earth, in the shadow of humanity's orbital defense rings. Every species in the galaxy had sent representatives. It's not because they wanted to, but because they had to. Ginha was now the first alien ambassador to humanity. It was not a job he had wanted, but Admiral Kwan had requested him personally. You were there from the beginning, the Admiral had said. You understand what we really are? Understanding? That was the problem. Even after 6 months, most aliens still did not understand what humanity had become. The great doors at the front of the hall opened. Admiral Kwan entered, but he was different now. He wore the uniform of Supreme Commander of Terran Forces. On his shoulders were the symbols of every human military branch. Behind him walked Captain Heron and 20 other human officers. The aliens in the hall became very quiet. Even after all this time, humans still made them nervous. There was something about the way humans moved, it's the way they looked at things, that reminded everyone that these were predators. Admiral Kwan walked to the speaking platform. He did not need to ask for silence. Everyone was already listening. Of the galaxy, he began, his voice carrying clearly through the hall. 6 months ago, most of you believed humanity was extinct. Today you know the truth. We are very much alive, and we are very much in control. A Rex representative stood up. Commander Kwan, the Council wishes to know your intentions. Do you plan to conquer our worlds? Admiral Kwan looked at the alien with those glowing eyes. Conquer? Representative, we could have conquered your worlds 800 years ago, if that was our goal. We did not rebuild our civilization to rule over others. We rebuilt it to ensure our survival. He activated a holographic display that showed the galaxy. Human ships were marked with blue dots. They were everywhere. But make no mistake, Admiral Kwan continued. We are now the dominant military force in this galaxy. Every trade route, every communication channel, every military base operates under our protection. Protection from what? Asked a Keth representative. Admiral L. Kwan smiled. From the consequences of your own weakness. The display changed to show reports from the outer rim of the galaxy. There were signals from unknown species. Aggressive species that had been moving toward Council space for years. L. You have been living in peace. Other civilizations have been preparing for war, Admiral Kwan explained. Species that see your peaceful worlds as easy targets. They have been coming for the past 50 years. Your intelligence services never detected them because you stopped looking for threats. Ginha felt cold. How long have you known about this? Have been tracking them for 30 years, Admiral Kwan replied. We have been preparing defenses and planning countermeasures. When they arrive, we will be ready. The question is, will you? The hall erupted in worried voices. Representatives talked to each other in dozens of different languages. Fear filled the air like smoke. Admiral Kwan raised his hand for silence. This is why humanity exists, not to conquer but to protect. You created a peaceful galaxy by forgetting how to fight. We created a strong galaxy by never forgetting that peace must be defended. Captain Heron stepped forward. She now commanded the entire human training program. We are offering to teach you, she said. Your species can learn too. Defend themselves. We will show you how to build better weapons, train better soldiers, create better defenses. And if we refuse? Asked a Zephyrian representative. Captain Hearn's expression did not change. Then you will remain weak, and weakness invites attack. When the Outer Rim species arrive, they will destroy you easily. We will survive, as we always do, but you will not. Admiral Quan walked among the representatives. Each one seemed to shrink when he passed by. 800 years ago, you abandoned us because you thought we were too violent, he said. You were right. We are violent. We are dangerous. We are everything you feared we would become. He stopped and looked around the hall. But we are also the only thing standing between your peaceful worlds and the darkness that exists beyond them. The galaxy is not a safe place because it is naturally peaceful. It is safe because we make it safe. Jinha stood up. What happens? Now, how do we live with this knowledge? Admiral Quan looked at him. There was something almost sad in those glowing eyes. You learn, Ambassador. You adapt. You accept that the galaxy has guardians now, whether you wanted them or not. A new display appeared showing human training facilities across the galaxy. Alien soldiers were learning human combat techniques. Alien scientists were studying human weapons. Alien leaders were taking lessons in military strategy. Some of your species are already learning, Admiral Quan said. The smart ones realized that the choice was simple. Learn from us or be destroyed by others. Captain Haren activated another display. This one showed Jinha's home world. Human instructors were teaching Keth engineers how to build better defenses. Keth soldiers were training with human weapons. The transformation was already beginning. Sister Velka is one of our best students, Captain Haren said to Jinha. She has learned to think like a human engineer. Her defensive designs are excellent. Jinha felt proud and terrified at the same time. His peaceful sister was learning the art of war. Will we become like you? He asked. No, Admiral Quan replied. You will become the best versions of yourselves. Strong enough to survive, smart enough to avoid unnecessary conflicts, and wise enough to know when fighting is the only option. He walked back to the speaking platform. The age of pure peace is over, he announced. The age of protected peace has begun. Humanity will stand guard at the edge of darkness. We will face the threats that come from beyond the rim. We will pay the price in blood and sacrifice that peace demands. The hall was completely silent. Now, but in return, the galaxy will respect our authority in matters of defense. Our word will be final when it comes to military decisions. Our judgment will guide policy when threats arise. He paused and looked at every representative. This is not negotiable. This is reality. You can accept it willingly, or you can learn to accept it the hard way, but you will accept it. A small voice called out from the back of the hall. What if the Outer Rim species never come? What if there is no threat? Admiral Quan smiled that dangerous smile one last time. Then you will. Live long, peaceful lives under the protection of a species that was built for war, but chose to guard peace instead. And you will never have to find out what we are truly capable of when we have no choice but to fight. As the assembly ended and representatives filed out, Ginha remained in his seat. He looked up at the orbital defense platforms visible through the hall's transparent roof. He finally understood the terrifying truth. Humanity had not returned to the galaxy. Humanity had become the galaxy's apex predator by choice, not accident. They were the guardians who watched from the shadows, the warriors who stood ready when peace failed, the fire that burned bright enough to keep the darkness away. The galaxy had forgotten humanity's name for 800 years. Now they would never forget it again.